Internal Revenue Service IRS Tax News. IRS resources available in English, Spanish, and other languages to help taxpayers still needing to file their 2019 tax returns. IR 2020-143, July 8, 2020, Washington. As the tax filing deadline fast approaches, the Internal Revenue Service reminds taxpayers with limited English proficiency and who have yet to file their 2019 tax returns that there are a variety of ways to get help and information in languages other than English. So the tax return deadline is coming up for 2019. It was pushed out from April to now July 15th. So people may be looking for resources. If you are looking for resources or know someone that may want resources that are in some other language other than English, including Spanish, you may be able or should be able to find them included with resources from the Internal Revenue Service. Back to the text, quote, providing additional materials in more languages to help taxpayers is a priority of the IRS, end quote. IRS Commissioner Chuck Rettig. Quote, these resources are just a start for the IRS. In the months ahead, we will be working to add more material on Irs.gov, Irs.gov. We also continue to work with our partners in tax community to help translate and share more tax material into different languages. For example, we are extremely proud to have material related to economic impact payments translated into more than 30 different languages with the help of our partners, end quote. The IRS provides some tax information on its Irs.gov website in up to 7 languages, including English, Spanish, Chinese, Korean, Russian, Vietnamese, and Haitian. To get information, and there's links to those items, by the way, as well. There'll be a link to this in the description. Back to the text. To get information in one of these languages, taxpayers can click on the language drop-down tab at the top of the Irs.gov pages. The tab displays the current language selection and other languages a taxpayer can choose to view translated content. Irs.gov pages translated into one or more languages also have links to available translations on the right side of the page just below the title. For example, Let Us Help You, there's a link to Let Us Help You page highlights IRS resources for taxpayers in 6 languages. This page offers information on notices, payments, and numerous other topics. A helpful page for people wanting to plan for the future is the Steps to Take Now to Get a Jump on Next Year's Taxes. There's a link to that here. Page available in 7 languages. Other resources for people with limited English proficiency on Irs.gov include Irs Free File. There's a link to that free file here for taxpayers with income of $69,000 or below. That's in English and Spanish. So that free file, and people are going to be needing to file the tax return pretty soon here. If you're below the threshold for the income threshold, you may be able to use the free file software, and it is available currently, it looks like, in both English and Spanish. Direct pay with bank accounts. There's a link to that here. To pay your tax bill for free from bank account, that's going to be in English and Spanish. Check your refund status with Where's My Refund? There's a link to that here, that too in English and Spanish. Information on electric filing options for individuals. There's a link to that here that has 6 languages included for it. Information on reporting phishing and online scams. Again, 6 languages there. And it might be useful. The IRS might want information on different languages, these phishing scams. So when you get emails that say they're from the IRS and they want you to give them your information or something like that, we want to obviously, the IRS is constantly warning, especially this year, given the fact that there's more payments going out and it's really an unusual kind of year, that you got to be more aware of these phishing scams that may happen. And if you can report those scams to the IRS so that they can have it in their database so they have an idea of them, that's a good thing. And they probably are less likely to get the reporting of those scams that are in other languages, maybe. I'm just assuming here. So it might be nice to give them, if you get any of those phishing type scams, to report them so the IRS can be aware of any kind of phishing emails that are going out that are kind of impersonating the IRS that are in basically other languages. Publication 17 for federal income taxes. There's a link to that here. There's going to be that in English and Spanish. Answers to questions about tax relief related to COVID-19. There's a link to that here. And economic impact payments, link to that here. Those 2 in English and Spanish. Free IRS to Go app for use on Apple and Android devices. That app also in English and Spanish. Watch out for scams targeted to non-English speakers. IRS impersonators and other scammers target people with limited access to information, including individuals not entirely comfortable with the English language. These scams are often threatening in nature and pose a major threat to these communities. These scams frequently take the form of a robocall, in quotes, a text-to-speech recording message with instructions for returning the call, but in some cases may be made by an actual person. These con artists may have some personal data, and including the taxpayer's address and the last 4 digits of the social security number, among other things, making the calls seem more legitimate. So normally, if you think the IRS contacting someone, they generally do it basically by mail. So you will not typically get a call from the IRS, especially a call that's asking for information. So if you get a call such as that, a robocall, as they're saying here, then you probably, don't want to respond back to it. What you want to do is if you think it's at all legitimate, then go directly to the IRS website, use some of the resources that they have there that are in, if it's in another language that would be useful, then you want to go there. You want to go to the source. So you don't want to go back and call the person who's calling, because they may then have some information to make it sound legitimate, such as they may have gotten the last 4 digits of the social security number, various ways to do that to make themselves seem legitimate, and then conduct a phishing, for more information type of thing. So therefore, what you want to do is not communicate with them whatsoever and call the IRS and go directly to the IRS if you think it might be legitimate at all. Go right to the source. Okay, back to the text. One common IRS impersonation scam involves the taxpayer receiving a telephone call threatening jail time, deportation, or revocation of a driver's license from someone claiming to be with the IRS. Taxpayers who are recent immigrants to the United States often are the most vulnerable and should ignore these threats and not engage the scammers. So again, really, you'd think you'd want to go back and like address that, but the last thing you want to do is engage the scammers, because obviously they could have some information to make their claims sound legitimate. So any kind of thing like that, then again, go to the source, to the IRS website, or recommend that people go to the IRS website and not engage with the scammers in any way. Go to the source. Okay, back to the text. People should watch out for scams using email, phone calls, or text related to payments. Be careful and cautious. The IRS will not send unsolicited electronic communication asking people to open attachments, visit website, or share personal or financial information. So the IRS will not send an email and say, click this link, or here's an email, and give us your personal information because something's going to happen like tomorrow, and we're going to, there's usually a timing threat in it that's, you'd have to do this right now, or respond in this way, or respond directly to this number. So again, that's not going to happen. When they do correspond, it's a bureaucracy, the IRS, right? So they usually do it by mail still, and it usually and usually they're not going to take any action. I mean, if they say they're going to take action tomorrow, that's usually not the case, right? Usually you get a letter and you get 30 days to basically respond to it by mail, and then you get this, the process goes from there. So what you want to do then is go to the source and check it out from there. Back to the text. Information on how to report phishing and online scams, there's going to be a link to that here, is available in 6 languages.